Hello, fellow Denesųłıné Willis Janvier Hushin in Talas Tuazi, the Loche, Saskatchewan, Clearwater River Dene Nation band member at the Eslion in the Treaty 8 territory. Si Dene Ate podcast host Eslion. Dun Zinege no Halyastia, the Duboni, the road, the Duslumbek, and Astro, the Duno Hayatia, Ba Deni Kladiha Dene Adore Diniha. Hi, my name is Willis Janvier. I'm from Loche, Saskatchewan, member of the Clearwater River Dene Nation in the Treaty 8 territory. Today I'm going to share with you my journey on podcasting and how I started Dene Ate podcast and how people have utilized it to learn and hear the language all over this great nation, continent really. So during Dene Ate podcast and uboni durade setseni bahalyas tinia phone FaceTime ga hikyo and the kursila sutti haruhin adu sits the iPad set up as a record gishnia so sutti ha yans a record as slow it's the betaya Facebook at a video that he town and then a dabi nenia so saneno in dene tate I encourage it as shoot videos net in that dudes in then I cut in this tie. But then ties out but then phone us, record us, so diruna. Can't do a boni the podcast. So how I started Dene Ate podcast was that I was actually on a phone call, just talking with FaceTiming with my friend from home, and I hit the record button on my iPad. And I shared that video on Facebook and all the people from home. It was all about having fun and bringing positivity and light mood to, the atmosphere of the world we're in now. And, people loved it and encouraged me to continue doing it. So I would secretly see anything that was going on Facebook, and then I would go and investigate the people, find their phone number, and then every time I was going to call, I have so many bloopers of recordings and starting and stopping just because the people wouldn't answer the phone. But once I got through, I would have a few questions ready and interview them and catch them off guard. So people loved that. It was a lot of fun. And from there, it began to evolve, I guess. And so I started fundraising for all my equipment, researching everything, what I needed, the streaming service that I needed. And so I fundraised the money and got everything I needed, and I just made sure I did it right. So, and the name Dene Ate podcast was I just let it come to me. And I wanted to honor my late father, and he was in broadcasting with NBC back in the day. But then one day it clicked, it clicked with me, Dene Ate in our Dene language podcast, because, as far as I know, I'm the first to create something like this, a space to share the Dene language, and it's easily accessible on Facebook and YouTube. And I invite guests over. We'll just go on Facebook. Facebook is my main resource for researching really just people's lives of what they're doing, their journey. One post can lead to a good, positive interview and sharing someone's journey. So the beginning, I was raised with the Dene language. Denesųłıné is my first language until I went to school. And even today, on a daily basis, I still speak the language. And, I have would call family. Mainly family is when I get to speak it. But anytime I see somebody, that connection through the language we have, just to be able to speak and converse with people about anything that is going on in their lives, or just reconnecting with people. And my podcast is all about that, and having and meeting new people too. I've met so many new people. Although there are many different dialects in the Denesųłıné languages, sometimes we're able to understand each other. Sometimes we're not. I've had people from the Navajo Nation to the Northwest Territories, and all those interviews we've had to do in English, but we get to share the basis of the language, and somehow this is the cool part about my podcast, is for myself and learning, somehow we're all connected, and through, there's a little difference in the wording or the language, but we are all connected one way or another. So since starting my podcast, I've had a few opportunities to present to some classes. One of them was in New Mexico, several different grades. A teacher down there reached out to me, and the program they have there, every month or weekly, they get in someone to share about language or culture. And so I've got to share about Dene Athabaskan and how it all started, and a bit of who I am, and obviously the language and how I was raised with it, and I still continue to speak it and share it with my audience whenever I have a guest, or just really to go live and to keep the Dene language strong. So a couple of the guests I've had, or one of them is a guest and the other is a topic that that I've learned so much from since starting it. It was Victor Tasazi, and Victor is from Loche, Manitoba, I believe, or Tuduli Lake. But anyways, Victor has shared a lot of Denesųłıné teachings, and he's a very knowledgeable man. And some of the things I wanted to learn was, how did we have spirituality in my area where I'm from, the Loche, is the influences from the church. So I wanted to know more about the spirituality before that, and Victor has brought, I've gained more knowledge through Victor on that area of, with the Dene people. So he's one of my favorite, guests that I've had on Dene Athabaskan podcast, and I'm sure I can have him on several times a year, and I'd always learn something more. And in the last few months, I've really pushed mental health. During this pandemic, a lot of us, and also myself, dealing with mental health. I started university and dealing with that and doing work online. It has really taught me to take care of myself mentally and continue to speak about it, to share about it, because we never know what someone is going through. And to be able to do that in the Dene language, and it's just more connection of, people seeing, okay, this guy is from the Loche, he's just from, he's probably my neighbor growing up, and he's going through this stuff. So people are able to relate and connect that way. And that's something I really enjoy doing, is just I could have a whole season on mental health, and I wouldn't get tired of it. So mental health, I'm going to continue sharing about it, just whether it's about myself and dealing with my struggles and just day-to-day life during a pandemic, and dealing with school online, and all that good stuff. So I want to talk more about mental health, and I'm going to do this in the Dene language, and how I feel it's very important and to have that foundation, as strength and resiliency and all that good stuff. So no hayatie but nedates reha do no hani dua jade at ut I Alkedari Yanuni no hatsi dog outs adet but otheril iha. Kontua nazunas thanadred podcast ebayas tide Denesųłıné relate to but enkontu yedenere niha. Dure Willis don't see yek another the kontue basu to drugs kontu see no hanik ade and no hayetio nicht and asne de halde yetie as asne de torjut tot in der rit islandela ku asne de behalja tire the dene de hun au yetino ha au kont no hayetie te bederi dinare so but anade so te konu bederi are so sa no hayetie nala but asun nuni thade donate sriha und isie kontur basu da nedis lino und isie bech asa the real veniha the online hosti ya kont isie huntur basu drugs ignai there say a tiu dog als erst eyanes tanastra Sa causes a dinit not treatment there no hayetie base no hachala nie dan hal share us a kont isi kont insans a dini that hot inasas Kola dun da hita no hal tati dare a hatian de adun zinek the podcast to do no hal was style no hayetie hot abag o shine and day holline do hui yalinastan kola kont ila yet masinastan on kont sene yaw nintelas tours in the yazi a halfund asne the bahal hutat ide the Dene and usi nade dlo di nadi on the la nade dlode no hayetia the Denenada dlode klasi sutti basede the onset the suttiu so I anastena no hayetia te bet anade tsro no achala nie ba ani da hitalia. So there's many Dene podcasts out there. Actually, I've learned about a few of them. I've had one guest. He does his own podcasting. But the thing I found was that separates me from the rest of them is I do mine in the language. And a lot of people, many people out there, they're looking to find a language. And although there's many different Dene podcasts, they do it in English, but they share the Dene culture, or they will have a word of the day, or anything about Dene. They will talk about in their podcasts. And as far as I know, I'm the only one that do it in the Dene language, and I'm going to continue to do that. Right from my bedroom, and I always encourage this to anybody who is going to see this. If you want to start a podcast, you can get in touch with me. I will help get anyone started. And, the equipment you need, you don't really need much. You just really need a phone and content, whatever content you want to put out, I just go with it, see whatever I see on Facebook, and then do a little bit of more research, and then invite the guests and talk about this stuff. And, like I said, you don't need much. I record, or I go live right from my bedroom. I've got a little mini studio set up, and that's where all the magic happens. So yeah, during conference basis or the currency some opportunities that silat they're boni deroti na he then I go there they I tu then the Arctic regions around the world, the New Mexico, the Nahiyadas, there's all it's a bedroom, So I then I go there, the real zane, then see don't you see a base, it's no aralianta, no hayatiet, but a real asi. So what that I encourage, Lissy, and you see a base, the real zade, take all and no new side, the rule zao. I help you the Honeset, the real zasi. I heard and hood ilu, so Bani Catherine in it, horn see it, and Ulo singing than it, the rule za. So yet, there must see that the benestanud and as a during currency do no hella yesterday that I podcast only thinner than see. It's in Facebook Messenger go to it's in Rules Ade, Facebook at Dene podcast or YouTube go. Dene direct Azishun Dene Luft Anustande the better Rules Ade. The Salot in the Masida Benestano, Senenots in the assets and I neasy der, soon but I has Galiha. Holai, I know as Enes Tangola, Daha emails on it, you that be nazy, not a message as on it, then that be near the rest I tell you the rating. Yet I soon has Scarlet, at the Dene podcast canister. So I want to say thank you to SICC for inviting me to do this conference and sharing my story about Dene podcast. I want to thank the people of my home community, Loche, and my nation, Clearwater River Dene Nation, and the people that have encouraged me and supported me since I've started this. We're going about less than a year, almost a year, really. So, and the opportunities that have presented itself to me, and the people that reach out to me and say, hey, I enjoy your podcasts, or I'm a linguist studying the language, or I want to use this for a university as a text. Those are the things that keep me going. And there's some days, like I shared about mental health, some days it is tough for me, but then it's those little messages that keep me going. And like I said, this is bigger than us. This is more than just a podcast. This is connecting people. It's uniting our Dene people, Denesųłıné, all over, Turtle Island, of this great continent. And that's what keeps me going. And I really enjoy it, having to, always learning new stuff and about new people, new areas, new Dene people in different areas, because there's, we're a big group of people. And, I hope to continue sharing that and bringing that to your phones and Facebook while you're at home. So, must see Chona her soon sell it in a doon so there with I see Willis Janvier who she in last tours in Clearwater River Dene Nation band member at the Denesųłıné, and I join you live from the Treaty 6 territory and home of the Cree, Métis, Sioux, Dene, all beautiful Indigenous people. Must see show. Have a good day.